Hi there, Pirate Zam here for NerdTube. These are my thoughts and spoilers of the Nautilus Season 1, a show currently on Amazon Prime here in the UK and on AMC in America. Now, if you happen to have Amazon Prime but you're not in the UK, maybe change your region to the UK and see if this show can come for you on your Amazon Prime account. Back to this series. So, Captain Nemo has always been an Indian person. That's how Jules Verne initially wrote him. This series is not based on the novel by Jules Verne, but it's inspired by the events, obviously the Nautilus itself, which was Captain Nemo's submarine. Now, in this show, Nemo himself happens to be more of a swashbuckling pirate, an educated man as well. He did study at Oxford and all of that, but he's been taken against his will to work and create the Nautilus, a ship that he helped design, like the engines and so on, alongside another character called Benoit that we see in this series. Now, because he's been taken against his will to help create this ship, and there are other people who have been affected by British colonialism as well to help create this ship, they managed to escape their bonds and steal the submarine, the Nautilus, and then for the rest of the series, they've pretty much been chased by the British, who have another steampunk type vehicle called the Dreadnought, which is like this industrial metal ship full of like heavy cannons and all types of things. When I say cannons, I don't mean the old school pirate where you light a fuse. We're talking the long barrel ones you see on modern warships, that sort of stuff. It looks more like that, the Dreadnought, than an old school pirate ship or an old school sailing boat ship. Regardless, I did say steampunk earlier because there's a lot of steampunk vibes in this series, and if you like steampunk, you're absolutely gonna love this. It's got that Pirates of the Caribbean vibe about it as well. And in the adventures Nemo has, along with his crew of them trying to escape the British, is as well escaping all the sort of situations and problems they have as they try to distance themselves from the British by coming across all manners of creatures and various sort of scenarios. Would it be mysterious islands with weird people on it and weird civilizations, monsters in the oceans like giant kraken like squid monsters, or a giant electric eel, bugs that could eat metal, and sort of like millipedes, centipedes of the ocean that are out to kill you and all of that. There's a lot to this particular series when it comes to all of that, and they resemble things that you've seen in the past from horror movies of yesteryear and Goonies and Indiana Jones and things like that. You there's a familiarization to some of the things you see at certain times during the course of this show, and it makes you appreciate it. It's very action packed. There's never really a dull moment. Things happen all the time. They're always in trouble and having to escape from one scenario to the next. It never really lets up, and the crew themselves are all interesting characters and likable characters as well. Sometimes you think certain things are going to be a little bit cliche, but then it goes against the grain a little bit here and there, and it surprises you the direction things are going when it comes to this particular show. You thought, oh, I thought this would be like that, and that person would be like this, and yada yada yada, but it doesn't necessarily go there, and it makes you wonder if everything's going to be revealed so soon, as this being the first season. Now we do get a culmination. I guess it's a satisfactory one to a degree regarding certain bad guys getting their comeuppance, but not everything gets resolved. Certain things are left open for a season 2, that's for sure. And I do hope we get that, because I did enjoy our initial adventures with this particular crew, and I can't wait to see them go on more swashbuckling scenarios and mishaps and whatever in other parts of this world, because I love it. This is what I love. One of my favorite genres. I mentioned the gangster genre being one of my favorite genres. The pirate genre as well is something I really appreciate. It. I know Pirates of the Caribbean: The Curse of the Black Pearl is a very popular film with a lot of people, and I actually am one of those people who like Cutthroat Island. I know people mock on that film. I'm not really the biggest fan of some of the other Pirates of the Caribbean movies. There was another series called Black Sails that I did like, which happens to have an actor called Luke Arnold, who was in that series, who happens to be in this series as well, playing a totally different type of character. Regardless, the performances are very good. I love the look of the Nautilus itself. It just embodies what you expect from a Jules Verne design of ship. You know, like it really does. It's it's got that sort of like Edwardian sort of style of design when it comes to the interiors. Like there's chandeliers in there for fuck's sake, and you know those sort of seatings and luxuries you would see from that period designed in that ship. But every it has electricity in it to make it run, but you can see it's of a vintage era. There's analog dials and stuff like that. There's steam coming out of valves and everything. And the ship itself has got a beautiful look to it. It's really well designed, and you really love being on it. As somebody who was a big fan of shows like Star Trek and all of those sort of series, Sequest, DSV, you do have an appreciation not only for the crew of that particular series, but for the vehicle that they're in as well. In this case, the Nautilus. And yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed my time on it and all the other nooks and crannies we saw from it. And yeah, it was just a beautifully designed ship and a really interesting crew of people with more layers to them than meets the eye. This is a good series. It's action packed as well. There's a lot of fun. There's lots of ups and downs. There's some really clever moments and interesting elements. The lead actor Shazad Latif, who plays Captain Nemo, perfectly cast, really good performance. There are a couple of cameo characters in this as well, like Bruce Spence. He's you'd recognize him more from his face than his name. You've seen him in stuff like Mad Max, and I think he was in the third Matrix movie. Obviously, Richard E. Grant. Everyone knows who he is. He's a phenomenal actor as well. There's one particular character in this series that made you realize that there's more to him than meets the eye, and he's not a cliched character as well. And that was the character of Levy, played by Jacob Collins. And Jacob Collins, in my opinion, is the spitting image of Michael Fassbender. He's like a younger looking Michael Fassbender. And there's other characters as well, people you thought there was comic relief who ended up not really being comic relief, and certain people who ended up being comic relief, and all of that. It's just, like I said, there's so much to this. It's very enjoyable. I had a great time. I really did. I binged this whole show in 2 weeks, and I just recommend it. I really do. I'm really happy for a start that we got the whole series. I was expecting this show to come out weekly, and that wasn't the case. Maybe Amazon didn't believe in the show. I don't know why they wouldn't, because it's very good. But regardless, if people are not going to give this show the time of day because it's really got a bunch of unknowns, regardless of the cameos, it's got a bunch of unknowns, and the story itself might not necessarily be too appealing. It was very appealing to me. I love all this shit. I'm a big fan of steampunk and certain stories by Jules Verne. So it was very appealing to me. I couldn't wait to watch it, but maybe Amazon didn't think that was the case, which is why they decided to upload all 10 episodes. 10 episodes which are between 45 minutes to 55 minutes long. So you're getting your money's worth. You're getting a lot of value for what you're watching here. It's a decent series with a decent runtime per episode and lots of swashbuckling moments in each episode too. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I'm stuck between how I'm going to mark this. I really am. Should I give it an 8 out of 10 or a 9 out of 10? I'd probably give it a 9 out of 10. I mean, the visuals are okay to pretty good at times. I mean, it hasn't got a massive budget, but for what they give you, you could tell that there's some money being spent here and there to make it look plausible, credible, for the world that they're living, that they're inhabiting, because it is a very fantasy-like element, world, from tropical locations to frozen locations and stuff in between. Obviously, they're underwater as well. There's some really good moments where they have to wear diving suits and deal with scenarios in the ocean and all of that. There is, even though it doesn't look like it's got the biggest budget on the planet, there's enough money spent on this that make that visuals look pretty cool regardless. So I'm going to give this a 9 out of 10 actually. I had more fun with this than I thought I would. This is a good show with a good cast. good characters. I like it. I like it a lot. Let me know what you think here at NerdTube. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. We are the greatest YouTube channel of all time. Leave a comment below and let me know. Take care now. Bye bye.